Yeah, we've seen Zalay doing some amazing things with these Patron Warrior decks. Maybe Ecop could watch and maybe see a thing or two.
Right there. Guys, get ready for game number 1. I'm going to ignore that comment, but we're going to be coming in to game number 1 as these guys are getting ready for it. Get out there on Twitter. Use that hashtag HPL. Let everyone know who you're supporting in this match. Again, the last 9 matches played between these two, there's not a single loss, but one of them's got to lose tonight. Get hyped. Show versus Zalay, game number 1 is getting underway.
Yeah, one of these winning streaks has to come to an end. Big surprise, Zalay is playing Grim Patron Warrior.
I don't think he's ever played this. This is totally weird.
Hey, Warriors, come out to play.
He's going to be going with Grim Patron. Got a pretty good looking opening hand, too. I mean, execute here to help deal with stuff. Acolyte of Pain, draw some extra cards, but Show, he's bringing Warrior as well. He wants to go toe-to-toe.
This is something that we very well could see a lot in this matchup. Show likes to play Grim Patron as well. That is a control variant.
Yeah, but that's a heavy hand, though. So if there's one thing that Zalay's got going for him right now, it's that Show doesn't have the weapons early to attack the way that your board position is going to work. So this is going to be a matter of whether or not Show can accumulate enough life to get past these big bursts, or whether or not Zalay can find the combos to kill him before he gets to that point.
Yeah, and Zalay doesn't know exactly yet that this is Control Warrior, and he said in his interview yesterday he loves these mirror matches.
Yeah, so we're going to see exactly how he approaches them. You know, again, Zalay very methodical in his approach, very well thought out. You know, I said it yesterday, and we've even seen it. Zalay is going to take his time pretty much no matter what, even when his plays look simple or when they're going to blow you out of the water.
Yeah, he's always going to take his time, make sure he squeezes out every little dime. You know, every now and then he makes these plays that you don't normally see, or, you know, they look a little weird, and then 3 turns later, you're just like, oh my God, Zalay's a genius.
Yeah, he definitely has that capability. And with 2 Frothing Berserkers in his hand, he's just kind of looking to put the pieces together here and hope to get those big charge damage turns.
Yeah, he needs a Warsong Commander going forward. A Death Spite would be very welcome. There's a couple of cards he needs, but, you know, he has this Acolyte of Pain, he has an Execute, and he has a Slam. He's got a lot of things going for him. Though, when he sees the Shield Slam coming out of Show and no other plays, you know, you've got to start to think maybe this is Control Warrior.
Yeah, when you see Shield Slam, I think it's a very high possibility that it's Control Warrior. But Show, he understands that Zalay is very likely to be bringing this deck to the table, and so the last thing he wants to do is have Zalay be able to draw a ton of cards.
Is there anything to said about just be running a Frothing Berserker out here?
I don't think so at all. I think in this matchup, you absolutely need to put together the damage. And, you know, given the way that this matchup pans out, if he plays Frothing Berserker and runs into a Death Spite, the game is basically over.
Yeah, and you see the Death Spite actually just come off the top here for Show. Yeah, just too many clean answers out of the Control Warrior decks to be just running the Frothing Berserker out there on turn 3.
Well, that and it's such an important card to the amount of damage you have. And Zalay knows that. He knows that Show's going to be putting together a big armor total.
It's actually more important to have Frothing Berserker in this matchup sometimes because the Control Warrior deck can get upwards of 40 and 50 life totals, and your Grim Patron turns can get them down into a range where one Frothing Berserker could get really frothy and, you know, in the game.
Yeah, I've actually seen some people approach this matchup and try to just grind the Patron Warrior out of cards by continuing to build armor, and I think it's a fine game plan because if you add a threat to the board and they have double Frothing Berserker, each Whirlwind effect adds 4 damage because you have a minion out.
Yeah, it's so unbelievable that one of the ways to play against Grim Patron, sometimes you think you have to, like, you know, race them before they can get all their pieces in the combo, but you're actually just playing into their strength.
Yeah, which is why I hate this deck. Just every time I'm like, I'm gonna win, they just go, everyone! I'm like, no, it's all gone.
Yeah, just a few of you, not everyone. Come on.
But it's usually everyone. Zalay actually going to forego armor here too. He wants to get himself to a position where he can actually use Battle Rage, and that's going to require him taking damage intentionally.
Yeah, that is a calculated play here, guys. He did not just accidentally hit in turn there.
Yeah. So Sludge Belcher going to be added for Show. He's looking like he wants to keep this armor in check a little bit, and there's the card that can start putting Zalay into the territory where he can set up big turns and draw extra cards.
And that's a 10-card hand here from Zalay. He needs to get some of the stuff going, but it looks like this Death Spite is going to chew through the front half of this Sludge Belcher.
Yeah. I'm curious if Show actually doesn't attack next turn and kind of realizes that Zalay might be trying to get into that.
Well, I mean, he can, you know, if he pecks in for the 1 here, then it lets Zalay damage him. And how important is 1 damage here, honestly?
Honestly, I don't think it's really that important.
Yeah, I agree with you. Yeah.
Sort of a weird and interesting spot to play, you know? I mean, like against Warlock, for instance, sometimes you don't want to damage him because of Molten Giants, but you could have space to deal that damage against Warrior. You just don't want to bring him to 29.
Let's see if Show does attack. I saw the cursor move here, but I think he may, yeah, he is actually going to attack.
This is probably a nod to the fact that Zalay can likely set himself below this point anyway.
Second Battle Rage added here as well. So if he wants to, he can get extra cards out this turn by playing the Gnomish Inventor, drawing a card, and then Battle Raging, but he's going to be burning cards eventually. He's got so many cards in his hand.
Yeah, he's looking for Emperor Thaurissan for sure with this kind of hand. I mean, he's basically got all the pieces right now. There's also a pretty big likelihood that he just doesn't use his Death Spite this turn, since it's such a critical card to be comboing with Frothing Berserkers.
Well, there's also something you said. There's a chance that he just does something like Grim Patron, attack. You know, who cares if you get extra armor and extra cards, and just makes a gigantic board. He could also start really going off with Grim Patron and Frothing Berserker, I'm sorry, not Frothing Berserker, Warsaw Commander next turn against this board really well. So he might not want to remove these minions from the board. So the fact that he has, let's see here, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, he has 10 cards in, he needs to get something out of his hand if he's going to wait for another turn.
Sort of a weird spot. You know,
Because what if he burns Emperor Thaurissan?
Yeah, I mean, that's definitely true. He cannot afford to burn Emperor Thaurissan right now.
You're going to see him just slam here. Well, I mean, that replaces itself, though.
Yeah, no, not if he slams the use.
I was say, you can slam the use, okay.
Yeah, good calculated play from Zalay here, understands.
Loves the way Zalay is playing this game.
Let's see what Show draws here now. Looks like totally fine with just the way his hand's developing. You know, take it slow, continue to build armor. He's hitting the 23 point this turn.
Yeah, casual 53, Nathan.
But he's got, you know, the fact that he's got a 1-3 and a 1-4 on board right now, this could quickly turn into a liability.
Yeah, like we said, there's something that could be said about Warsaw Commander into Grim Patron next turn and just getting to fill up his entire board. He gets to attack both these minions, make more Grim Patrons, and then if he uses his Death Spite, oh, he even picked up a Whirlwind too. If he uses this Death Spite, he gets to fill his entire board, but you see Show has the Brawl. But eventually, Zalay has to just play into this. You have to make him have it. The longer you wait, the more likely he is to have the cards.
Yeah, so he's going to be making his first assault here now with Grim Patrons, and this is checked by Show. He does have Brawl in his hand, so going to be able to take care of this, and now Zalay's going to be looking for a second Warsong Commander and an Emperor Thaurissan.
Yeah, he needs a second Warsong Commander because here's the thing that's about to happen. Show is going to clear this entire board, but Zalay's going to get in a decent bit of damage here and, you know, add in this full board of threat against Show. This is what he needs to do. He has to start making moves forward. Show is at 55 right now. He has to get a bunch of damage in so that one of these Frothing Berserkers or these two Frothing Berserkers can 30 or 40 Show out of a turn. It's really hard to make both of them do 30.
Yeah, this spot, though, I don't even expect him to use the Death Spite. I expect him, you know, maybe to Inner Rage to keep his hand under control. But I think he's content with just 8 points of damage. You know, using the Death Spite here would just be a waste.
Yeah, the Death Spite would be a waste here. He's gonna hold on to this to make sure he gets to use the charge whenever. But again, he's making headway against what Show's doing. He gets, again, 8 damage here this turn as well.
Yeah, Show, though, pretty darn good turn, wiping out the board and then clearing the last minion.
Yeah, the old 17 damage from a Shield Slam. We have seen some gigantic Shield Slams in HPL.
This game's not going to be any exception to that, too. And he's doing a fantastic job of controlling what's going on. The first assault's been stifled. Even will be taking only 2 points of damage. You know, the little things matter a lot.
Yeah, so it's just going to armor up and pass. You're going to see this a lot in this game. What's going to happen is they're going to keep building up their hands, try to get to the right spots. You know, Zalay, picked up the other Warsaw Commander. That's big for him. All he needs is Emperor Thaurissan. He can really go crazy. He needs to get Emperor Thaurissan, though, because he needs to be able to go Warsaw Commander, Frothing Berserker, Whirlwind, attack you with my Death Spite. He needs to do a lot of things all in one turn. So you're going to see these guys take it slow until they get the exact hands they want.
Yep. And for Show, that's going to start with his Emperor Thaurissan. This is finally a turn where he's foregone armor. And having an extra minion in play is actually pretty critical for Zalay because each one that stays in play, again, when you have 2 Frothing Berserkers, the Whirlwind effects mean 4 extra damage apiece.
Yeah, that's another thing, too, to mention. Show's going to have to control his threats very well and not get too many in play. So Zalay doesn't have a lot of ways to make these Frothing Berserkers gigantic in this game.
Yeah, but I believe he understands that dynamic and just going to be very patient and make sure that he is, you know, taking 1 step at a time to clearing this. It's a very dangerous rope to be walking.
Yeah, I mean, Zalay, you know, he knows how good Zalay is with this deck. Anyone who's, you know, paying attention to what's going on in Hearthstone right now knows that Zalay just got to #1 rank in NA and Legend with this deck exclusively, and he's just been playing it like crazy here on HPL as well.
This looks like the turn he's going to start making his push. I mean, he's seen a Brawl. You know, why not? This is a lot of damage, but this is not quite the end of it.
Yeah, Show's going to have to answer all of this, though, because he is going to take care of this Emperor this turn.
Wait a minute. I might have spoken too soon. This is 16 damage, and then another 16 here. He's going to attack Emperor, so this is sort of a nod to the fact that he doesn't feel like he has time necessarily to push for all this. So it's going to be the damage now, and if Show can't answer what's happening, that's where he's going to win the game. I mean, he just went all in on these Frothing Berserkers, and both of them going to get checked.
Yep, Show with a Shield Slam. here, and he can use Cruel Taskmaster plus, the Death Bite. He's even got Alex Straza going forward as well. He can bring
Big
show
Game
down
Hunter
to
too.
15.
I mean, he's got all the options.
He's even got Big Game Hunter. This is going to be one of the only chances he's going to get to actually use Big Game Hunter for value this game. So I fully expect that to happen this turn as well.
Yep.
Does he hold on to just Shield Slam here?
There's a possibility. I mean, Shield Slam, not very good once all your armor's been shredded. But at the same time, Big Game Hunter doesn't have a lot of targets in this deck.
Yeah, I mean, you've got to feel like he's going to get the Big Game Hunter in this turn.
Yeah, this is going to be the assault now from Sho. He's seen enough. He's seen Grim Patron, seen both Warsong Commanders, seen both Frolic Berserkers. How does Zalae recover his damage at this point?
Yeah, Zalae almost has no way to recover his damage at this point. He has one Grim Patron left over, and that's pretty much it for a huge damage output in this deck. Zalae is in a bad spot going forward.
Yeah, I'm a little bit surprised that he chose to go for this so early. A lot of it's just the fact that his hand's getting cluttered. Sho's building to bigger and bigger armor totals. He's scaled into the late game, and so he's going to start having consistent threats. If Zalae just waited too long, there was no way he was going to win. But in that spot, it's just tough. This is really the respect for Sho that he has as a player, saying that he has to go for it earlier rather than later.
Yeah, he waited as long as he possibly could in his own mind. He waited for an Emperor. He really, really needed one because you saw that turn that he was able to make each of them 10 power. If he had just a little bit more, he might be able to get in something like 30 damage that turn, not just 20.
Yep.
And this would be a completely different game. But
I mean, this could also be a little bit of a turning point. Sho is going to have to deal with 4 Grim Patrons here, but that pickup I think is going to offset a lot of this.
Yeah, well, he's got a Shield Slam here that he can take out one of the Grim Patrons with to kind of mitigate how many are going to get spawned out here. He's got a couple of options on how to play the turn.
Yeah.
He's even got Grommash as well.
I think he's got this game pretty darn close to locked up. It looks to me like.
Well, hold on. He doesn't have lethal anyway this turn with Grommash, does he? Grommash and Cruel Taskmaster.
I mean, Grommash's Cruel Taskmasters runs it over with Shield Slam and the Cruel Taskmaster. That's going to be 12, 17, 18, 19, 20, 20. Yeah, it looks like 21 damage to me. He actually does have lethal this turn.
Yeah, these Emperor Thorson fuel turns can be pretty crazy.
Yep. So he just stepped away from the computer for a bit. Knows this turn is going to take a long time, and Sho spots lethal from it. I mean, it's pretty darn tough for anything to get away from this guy. Yesterday was a little bit exhausted, had one minor misstep towards the end where he had the game nigh locked up. But in this one, on top of his game, just executed this one beautifully, waiting for the right time.
Yeah, and you heard him say yesterday that he was actually in a bad mood coming into the match because he had lost earlier in another tournament. It was a team tournament. He felt that he let his teammates down. You got to believe that it's a different day. It's a different Sho.